everyone, and welcome to the first edition of the PeaPod, Peanuts podcast, presented by Voice of Esports. What you just heard for our intro music was a lovely rendition of the Terran Battle theme by Omi from SC2GG. Thanks very much, Omi, for the wonderful music. I'm Peanut, I'm the host of this show. I'm head staff at SC2GG and involved in the StarCraft community in other ways. You might know me from the recent episodes of Commentator Idol at SC2GG.com, which are posted on the Vile Attack YouTube account. So what is the PeaPod? This will hopefully be a bi-weekly event that is an episode released every other week where I sound off on the things that I love to talk about best. That is StarCraft, the esports community, StarCraft in the greater world. I'd like to bring listeners a wider context of the Korean pro game scene that we know and love so well, of what the foreign scene is like, what players are really like. And I figured this was the best way to do it. So, please keep listening. Every other week, I'll have some great special guests on the show. Please leave me some feedback so I can know what you want to hear about, because my greater aim is not only to meet some really interesting people and talk to them on the show, but also to help people understand and learn more, myself, about the wider context of professional gaming, also known as esports, in the global community and especially the online community. So leave me some feedback. Tell me what you want to hear and what you want to know about, and I'll see if I can do it. And without further ado, let's get on with the show. We have a very special guest, so stay tuned. This guest needs very little introduction, so I'm going to let him introduce himself. Would you like to introduce yourself, special guest?
Hi guys, this is Klazar. Yeah, just having a quick chat here with Peanut.
So Klazar, you are very well known in the StarCraft community, both famous and infamous. You are very well loved by your many fans. You have, at this point, 7,743 subscribers on your YouTube account, Klazart SC, and apparently you are the number 4 most subscribed account of all time from Ireland. And there are many people who have been wondering...
I don't have much competition. Yeah, I don't have much competition. It's mainly, it's mainly sheep videos and YouTube impersonators. So it's not really much competition.
I see. So there's not many people in Ireland doing the StarCraft thing. So there are many people who have been wondering, where has Klazart been? Since you seem to have a tendency of dropping off the map now and then for months at a time and leaving your viewers just waiting for more. Recently, you were on a 3-month hiatus and then came back out of the blue with Savior vs. Bisu. So where have you been?
I haven't really been anywhere. I suppose it depends whether you're trying to answer the question in a metaphysical sense or a literal sense. Literally, I've been around, but I just haven't been online much because of other things that have been taking up my time and requiring my attention and my focus. And unfortunately, when that happens, StarCraft tends to fall by the wayside. And as much as I hate it, I'm plagued by a lot of health issues, which also greatly limits the amount of time I can spend online. And unfortunately, that affects my StarCraft commentaries as well. For all intents and purposes, I really shouldn't be doing StarCraft commentaries, but sometimes I can't help myself, because StarCraft has always been a labor of love for me.
I see. So it's very interesting that you mentioned having a life outside of StarCraft, because the way you portray yourself online, since you don't give that many details about yourself other than sort of passing references in your commentaries, people only really see that side of you, especially on YouTube. Can you give us any details about your life?
Yeah, my life is like everyone else's. I get up, do stuff, eat, sleep, work. Yeah, I'm married, obviously. I'm sure most people know that. I am a fully qualified doctor, though I'm not working in medicine at the moment, again, because of health reasons. And I spend most of my my free time either reading or working on my novel, which I've been working on for about a year now. So yeah, that's pretty much my life, hanging out with friends, going out. I love to eat out, things like that mostly.
Sounds very normal. I'm sure the listeners will be somewhat surprised to hear that. You know that there's somewhat of a cult around you. I like to call it...
Well, apart from killing terrorists, obviously, but
right.
But I can't really talk about that too much.
Naturally. That's something that probably has to be kept top secret. So, that's interesting. So you mentioned that you're a doctor, and I'm sure that there might be a few listeners out there who know that, but I'm sure some other people might be surprised. Do you think that plays at all, or do you think that's related at all to your love of StarCraft and commentary, or is that just a completely different part of your life?
Yeah, it's complete. I mean, everyone's a gamer these days, right? Whether you're a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, or a student, we've all grown up playing games. So it's just part of my cultural identity more than anything else. I mean, considering that the weather is pretty horrible around here, there's not much else to do when it's pouring rain 24/7. So gaming is pretty huge over here in Ireland.
So at least with reference to being a doctor, it's sort of a separate part of your life. How about being a novelist or being a writer? It seems like you have these very disparate parts of your life, and it's a little bit hard to envision a way to put them all together in sort of a harmonious or semi-harmonious whole. How does being a novelist relate to the StarCraft commentaries that you do?
Yeah, I think actually there's a strong relation. I mean, maybe being a doctor not so much so, but everything that you do and every part of your personality, I think, contributes to every other part of your personality to some extent. And the fact that I like to read a lot, the fact that I like to write a lot, I think all of that contributes to when I'm commentating, because I end up throwing in references to stuff that I've read, or interesting pieces of philosophy that I've come across in books that I've read, or things that I tend to be thinking about myself, because I'm quite a reflective person, and they tend to worm their way into my commentaries, along with the occasional literal flourish. So I guess that adds, some sort of value to what I do when I'm commentating. And I'm not sure whether it works both ways. I'm not sure whether StarCraft seeps back into the writing, but I'm pretty confident that my writing does tend to seep into my StarCraft.
That's very interesting. Yes, I've certainly noticed, and I'm sure many other people have noticed, that your commentaries do tend to contain a lot more references to significant works of literature, and to have a more literary quality about them than perhaps some other commentators, for better or for worse. There have actually been many people who have asked me, is Klazar still working on his novel? Is it going to be published? Can I buy it when it comes out? Are you going to come and inform the StarCraft community when your novel gets published so that those who are interested can buy it?
Yes, I will. When it will get published, that's an entirely different question. I'm still working on it, in answer to the first question. I'm getting very, very close, but the more work I do, the more work there seems to be. And it's just, at this stage, it's just polishing and rewriting and revising and polishing and rewriting and revising ad nauseum. But hopefully, once I get it finished, well, unfortunately, once I get it finished, it's going to be a long road then again to try and find an agent and a publisher. You see all these books, you go into a bookstore and you see all these books lying around, and the amount of absolute nonsense that you find on the bookshelves is just scary. The amount of trash that people read. And you'd have to think that in order to not get published, you'd have to be really, really crap, considering the amount of crap that does get published. But as it turns out, it's not as straightforward as that. At least that's what I used to think. But the more I learn about the publishing industry and the publishing process, it's just complex and scary and weird. But I'm hoping I'll be able to pick my way through it and get published, and hopefully when that happens, I will let the people know.
So
it's a bit of a lame tease though, because it could be a year before the book gets published, because that's just how long it takes sometimes.
Klazar, I think given the nature of your commentary activities, your fans are used to cruel teases. So I don't think it's that big of a jump.
Low blow.
Yes. But it's true. Another interesting aspect of your commentaries is that sometimes you seem to throw in references to current political events, especially, say, the conflict in the Middle East. So as you seem to be someone who likes to think about these things and talk about these things, I was wondering what you think of the inauguration of Obama and what this means for the world.
It's strange, sort of. I don't live in America. I don't have American citizenship. I don't vote in American elections, and yet I was very captivated by the American political process, and I found it hugely, hugely engrossing. The likes of Fox News and just how crazy they are. I mean, over here, to people like us, to people in Ireland, Fox News is like a comedy channel. We watch it for entertainment. It's just insane, and at the same time, it's scary to think that half of America believes what these guys are putting out. That half of America has a vote. That's very scary. I'm hoping that Obama's election and inauguration will herald a positive change for the world, I guess. Hopefully he'll take a less kill everyone in sight policy than Bush. He also seems to be able to string a proper, correct sentence of English together without calling himself an idiot in the process accidentally, which again Bush wasn't really able to do. So that's all positive. But on the other hand, over here, being so close to the UK, we've had to deal with Tony Blair, and Tony Blair is very much an Obama-like figure, a young politician, charismatic, promised reform and change, and got elected on that mandate. And